Admiral Zektar's 4 eyes stared at the display screen in complete silence. The bright red warning lights flashed across the command center of Border Station Keth 9, the most secure outpost in all of Corvani space. For 300 cycles, no enemy ship had ever crossed their defensive line. Not one. But there it was on the scanner. A single ship. Human. "Run the scan again," Zektar ordered, his voice tight with disbelief. Commander Vexal, his second-in-command, worked frantically at the control panel. Her 6 arms moved quickly across the buttons and switches. "Admiral, the readings are correct. 1 human vessel, classification unknown. It appeared inside our defense perimeter 17 minutes ago." "That's impossible." Zektar moved closer to the main screen. The ship looked small compared to their massive battle cruisers. It was dark, gray with strange markings on its hull. "How did it get past our sensor nets, our quantum barriers, our patrol fleets?" No one had an answer. The Corvani Empire controlled 12 star systems. They had the strongest military in this part of the galaxy. Their technology was advanced beyond most species' understanding. Yet somehow a primitive human ship had walked through their defenses like they were made of paper. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," reported Lieutenant Kralex from the communication station. "Put it through." The main screen flickered and changed. A human face appeared. It was a female, with short brown hair and calm green eyes. She wore a dark blue uniform with strange symbols on the collar. When she spoke, her voice was steady and clear. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Defiance. I am broadcasting on all frequencies to ensure this message reaches your command structure. We know you are holding our diplomatic team. We are here to bring them home." Zektar felt a chill run down his spine. 3 weeks ago, they had captured a human diplomatic vessel that had strayed into their territory. The ship carried 6 humans who claimed to be on a peaceful mission. The Empire had decided to keep them as prisoners, thinking humans were too weak to do anything about it. The human captain continued speaking. "You have our people. We want them back. This doesn't have to become complicated, but it will if you force our hand." The transmission ended. Commander Vexal looked at the Admiral with worry in her large black eyes. "Sir, what are your orders?" Zektar was quiet for a long moment. He had studied human military records. Humans were supposed to be a young race with basic technology. Their ships were slow, and their weapons were simple. They had only been traveling in space for a few hundred years. The Corvani had been among the stars for over 50,000 years, but something felt very wrong about this situation. "Send a message to Fleet Command," he ordered. "Tell them we have a human vessel in our space. Request immediate backup." "Already done, sir. Admiral Morden is dispatching the 7th Battle Group. They'll arrive in 6 hours. Zektar nodded, but he couldn't shake his unease. "What do we know about this ship? How big is it? What weapons does it carry?" Lieutenant Kralex checked his instruments. "Sir, that's the strange part. Our scanners are having trouble getting clear readings. The ship appears to be about 300 meters long, but the mass readings keep changing. Sometimes it shows up as a small frigate, other times as something much larger. Sensor malfunction? We've run full diagnostics twice, sir. Our equipment is working perfectly." The Admiral walked to the large viewing window that looked out into space. He could see the human ship in the distance, a tiny dot against the stars. It wasn't moving toward the station, but it wasn't leaving either. It just sat there waiting. "Have our patrol ships tried to approach it?" he asked. "Yes, sir. Captain Hulvan took 2 destroyers to investigate 30 minutes ago. But every time they get within 10,000 kilometers, the human ship simply isn't there anymore. Then it reappears somewhere else." "Cloaking device?" "No, sir. It never disappears from our sensors. It just moves in ways that shouldn't be possible." Zektar's stomach twisted. The Corvani had fought many wars. They knew about cloaking technology, jump drives, and quantum displacement systems. But what this human ship was doing didn't match any known technology. An alert chimed at the communications station. "Admiral, we are receiving another transmission from the human vessel." "Put it through." Captain Chen's face appeared on the screen, again. She still looked completely calm, like she was discussing the weather instead of facing an entire battle station. Admiral Zektar, I presume you are the commanding officer. My name is Captain Sarah Chen. I want to be very clear about our situation. We know you have 6 members of our diplomatic team: Ambassador Williams, Dr. Park, Engineer Santos, Communications Officer Kim, Security Chief Rodriguez, and Pilot Jackson. We want them back. Zektar found his voice. Human, you are in violation of Corvani space. Your diplomats were captured for illegal border crossing. They will be tried according to our laws. Captain Chen smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Admiral, I think you misunderstand the situation. This is not a negotiation. This is a courtesy warning. You have 72 hours to return our people, unharmed and in good health. After that time, we will take other measures. You dare threaten the Corvani Empire? You are one small ship against our entire fleet. Admiral, let me ask you something. In all your years of service, how many human ships have you fought? Zektar paused. The honest answer was none. No one fought humans directly. There were rumors, stories passed between military officers about what happened to those who tried. But he had always assumed they were just tales meant to scare new recruits. I see, Captain Chen continued. Then perhaps you should contact your superiors. Ask them why there are standing orders in every major fleet to avoid harming human civilians. Ask them about the Kethran incident, or the fate of Battle Group Zerion, or what happened to the Nextel pirates who captured that human merchant ship. 15 years ago, the transmission ended, leaving the command center in uncomfortable silence. Commander Vexal moved closer to the Admiral. Sir, should I try to contact High Command about these incidents she mentioned? Zektar nodded slowly. He was starting to remember fragments of old briefings, classified reports that he had never paid much attention to, stories about entire fleets that had vanished after conflicts with humans, military disasters that were never fully explained. Do it, and get me everything we have on human military capabilities. I want to know what we're really dealing with. As his crew worked frantically around him, Admiral Zektar stared at the small dot in space that represented the human ship. 72 hours seemed like a very short time, but something told him it was going to feel much longer. The human ship continued to wait, silent and patient as a predator. And for the first time in his long military career, Admiral Zektar began to wonder if his station was strong enough to survive what was coming. Outside the viewing window, stars twinkled peacefully in the endless dark. But somehow, space didn't feel as safe as it had an hour ago. Commander Vexal rushed back to Admiral Zektar with a data pad in her hands. Her face was pale, and her 6 arms shook slightly as she handed over the device. Admiral, you need to see this, she said quietly. Zektar took the pad and began reading. His eyes grew wider with each line. The reports were classified at the highest levels, marked with security seals he had never seen before. The Kethran incident, Battle Group Zerion, the Nextel pirates, all real, all documented. All ending the same way, complete destruction of any force that harmed human civilians. These reports, he said slowly. Why were they never shared with field commanders? High Command classified them to prevent panic, sir. The official policy is that humans are a minor threat with primitive technology, but these files tell a different story. Zektar continued reading. The Kethran had captured a human research vessel 20 years ago. Within days, their entire home fleet had vanished. No wreckage, no survivors, no explanation. The only evidence left behind was a message broadcast on all frequencies. Return what you have taken and face no further action. Battle Group Zerion had attacked a human colony ship by mistake. 2 weeks later, their 7 massive warships were found drifting in space. All systems were intact, but every crew member was gone. The ship's computers contained a single file: harm our people, and nowhere is safe. The Nextel pirates had learned the hard way that capturing human merchants was a mistake. Their entire organization had been eliminated in a single night. Pirate. Bases across 3 systems had been destroyed simultaneously. The pirates' own security recording showed the attackers, humans in advanced armor, moving like ghosts, striking with impossible precision. Sir, Lieutenant Kralex called from his station. The human ship is moving. Everyone turned to look at the main screen. The UES Defiance was indeed moving, but not in any way that made sense. It slid sideways without turning. It accelerated forward without any visible thrust. Most disturbing of all, it seemed to be in 3 different locations at once. What kind of propulsion system is that? Zektar demanded. Unknown, sir. Our computers can't analyze it. The ship appears to be violating several laws of physics. As they watched, the human vessel began moving in a complex pattern around their space station. It flew loops and spirals that should have been impossible at those speeds. The G-forces alone should have turned any crew into paste against the walls. Are they trying to intimidate us? Commander Vexall asked. Before anyone could answer, an alarm began blaring throughout the command center. Sir, energy barriers around sectors 7 through 12 are failing. What? How is that possible? Unknown, sir. The barriers aren't being attacked, they're just turning off. On the tactical display, red warning symbols appeared as their defensive systems went offline one by one. The energy barriers that protected their station had been considered unbreachable. They generated quantum fields that could stop anything from getting through. But somehow the barriers were deactivating themselves. Sir, incoming transmission from the human vessel. Put it through. Captain Chen appeared on the screen again. She was sitting in what looked like a command chair, surrounded by displays and controls that seemed to be made of light itself. Behind her, other humans worked at stations that didn't look like any technology Zektar had ever seen. Admiral, I hope you're beginning to understand your situation, she said in that same calm voice. We've turned off some of your defensive systems to make a point. They can be turned back on easily enough, or they can be permanently disabled. Your choice. How are you doing this? Zektar demanded. Our systems are isolated, they can't be accessed remotely. Admiral, your technology is more primitive than you realize. What you call impossible is simply Tuesday for us. She touched something on her chair, and suddenly every screen in the command center displayed the same image. The 6 human diplomats sitting in a holding cell somewhere on the station. As you can see, we know exactly where our people are. We know they're unharmed, and we appreciate that. It makes this situation much simpler. You're monitoring our internal systems? Commander Vexall whispered in shock. Captain Chen smiled. Commander Vexall, isn't it? Yes, we've been watching your station's activities since we arrived. Your security is quite good by local standards, but you're dealing with humans now. The transmission continued, but now the captain's voice was coming from every speaker in the station simultaneously. Admiral, in approximately 4 hours the 7th Battle Group will arrive to assist you. Admiral Morden is commanding 7 heavy cruisers and 23 destroyers. Impressive force. Zektar felt ice in his veins. How do you know about our reinforcements? We know because we've been monitoring your communications. We know Admiral Morden's battle plans. We know the exact time and location where his ships will exit hyperspace. We know everything, Admiral. The image on the screen changed to show a tactical map of the entire system. Red dots appeared, marking the positions of Corvani ships that were supposedly hidden or cloaked. Your patrol vessels Kethmore and Vextal are hiding behind the 4th moon, Captain Chen continued. The stealth destroyer Darkwing is positioned near the asteroid belt. Your supply convoy is approaching from the outer system, protected by 2 cruisers. Should I continue? This is impossible, Zektar said weakly. No, Admiral. This is what happens when you take our people. The screen changed again, showing a view of space around the station. But now there were more ships visible. Human ships. They appeared one by one, seeming to materialize out of nowhere. Within minutes, dozens of vessels surrounded the Corvani station. Sir, Lieutenant Kralex reported with a voice full of panic. Sensors are showing 47 human vessels. They just appeared. Cloaking devices? No, sir. They weren't there, and now they are. Our sensors never detected them approaching. Captain, Chen's voice continued from the speakers. Admiral, meet the rest of my task force. Each of these ships is crewed by humans who have friends or family members serving in our diplomatic corps. They take it personally when our people are threatened. Zektar slumped into his command chair. 48 human ships against his single station and the incoming battle group. But numbers were meaningless if the enemy had technology this advanced. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. "I told you already. Return our people. All of them. Unharmed. You have 68 hours remaining. And if we comply, then we leave peacefully, and this incident is forgotten. Your station remains intact, your crew goes home to their families, and the Corvani Empire learns a valuable lesson about taking human prisoners. And if we don't comply?" There was a long pause before Captain Chen answered. When she spoke, her voice carried a weight that made everyone in the command center go silent. "Admiral, have you ever heard the human saying, 'Speak softly and carry a big stick'? We've been speaking softly, but we carry very big sticks." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in tense silence. Commander Vexall approached the Admiral carefully. "Sir, what are your orders?" Zektar stared at the tactical display, showing human ships positioned perfectly around their station. Each vessel was exactly where it needed to be for maximum strategic advantage. This wasn't luck or coincidence. This was planning and intelligence gathering at a level that terrified him. "Send a message to High Command," he said finally. "Tell them we need immediate authorization for prisoner release. And tell them—" He paused, watching the human ships move in perfect formation. "Tell them we might have made a serious mistake." Outside, the stars continued to shine peacefully, but now they seemed to be watching, waiting to see what choice the Corvani Empire would make. Admiral Morden commanded the most powerful battle group in the Corvani fleet. 7 heavy cruisers and 23 destroyers dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, exactly where their battle plan specified. He was confident that 30 warships would be more than enough to handle one human vessel and its small support group. That confidence lasted exactly 18 seconds. "Admiral," his sensor officer called out in panic. "The human ships are gone." "What do you mean, gone?" "They were surrounding the station when we arrived, sir. Now our scanners show empty space." Admiral Morden studied his tactical display carefully. Border Station Keth 9 sat in the center of his formation, looking normal and peaceful. There were no human vessels anywhere on his sensors. "Contact Admiral Zektar immediately." The communication link crackled to life. Zektar's voice sounded strained and tired. "Admiral Morden, thank you for coming so quickly. Where are the human ships? Our sensors show nothing." There was a pause. "Admiral, trust me when I tell you this. They're still here. They're just not showing themselves to you yet." "That's impossible. We have the most advanced scanning equipment in the fleet." "Sir?" his weapons officer interrupted. "I'm detecting energy signatures, very faint, but there's something moving out there." Before Admiral Morden could respond, his main screen activated without anyone touching the controls. Captain Chen's face appeared just as calm as ever. "Admiral Morden, welcome to our little gathering. I hope your journey wasn't too difficult." "Human, you are surrounded by the 7th Battle Group. Surrender now, and you will be treated according to military law." Captain Chen smiled. "Admiral, you seem to misunderstand who is surrounding whom." The tactical display suddenly lit up with contacts. Human ships appeared on the screen in positions that should have been impossible. Some were inside his formation. Others were above and below his vessels at angles that defied three-dimensional thinking. "How are you doing this?" Morden demanded. "Admiral, your people have been traveling in space for 50,000 years, but you still think in terms of normal physics. We learned a long time ago that the universe has more dimensions than the ones you can see." One of Morden's cruiser captains broke into the communication channel. "Admiral, the humans are requesting permission to come aboard." "What?" "Denied. All ships maintain defensive postures." "Sir, they're not requesting. They're already here." Admiral Morden felt a chill run down his spine. "Explain." "There are humans walking through our corridors, sir. They appeared in our transporter room somehow, but we don't have transporter technology. They're not threatening anyone, but they're moving freely throughout the ship." Similar reports came from other vessels in the battle group. Humans in strange uniforms were simply appearing inside their ships, walking around as if they owned the place, examining equipment and making notes on devices that looked like nothing the Corvani had ever seen. "This is an act of war!" Admiral Morden shouted into his communicator. Captain Chen's voice remained patient. "Admiral, this is a demonstration. My people are showing you that your ships are not as secure as you believe. They could have disabled your vessels or harmed your crews. Instead, they're simply looking around. Get them off my ships immediately. They'll leave when they're finished with their inspection. In the meantime, perhaps we should discuss the situation with your prisoners." Admiral Morden was about to respond when his tactical officer called out urgently, "Sir, our weapon systems are offline." "All of them?" "Yes, sir, everything. Missiles, energy cannons, defensive systems. Nothing is responding." Reports flooded in from every ship in the battle group. All weapons were non-functional. The engines still worked. Life support was normal. But every single offensive and defensive system had been quietly disabled. "How long until we can get them back online?" the Admiral asked his engineering chief. "Sir, that's the strange part. There's nothing wrong with our systems. They're just not responding to our commands. It's like someone else has control of them." Captain Chen's voice came through the speakers again. "Admiral, my engineers are quite impressed with your technology. Very solid construction. Your weapon systems are particularly well designed. It would be unfortunate if something happened to them." On the main screen, tactical displays showed the internal layouts of every ship in the Corvani battle group. Critical systems were highlighted in red, showing exactly where the most vulnerable components were located. "You have complete access to our computers," Admiral Morden said quietly. "Yes. We've been studying your technology since before you left your home base. We know how every system works, where every critical component is located, and how to disable or destroy anything we choose. What do you want from us?" "I want the same thing I've wanted from the beginning. Return our diplomatic team. You now have 51 hours remaining." Admiral Morden opened a private channel to Admiral Zektar. "Zektar, we need to discuss this situation." "I've been trying to tell you, Morden. These humans are not what our intelligence reports claim. They have technology that makes our best equipment look like children's toys. Surely we can find a way to fight them. 31 ships against their 48. "Admiral," Zektar said slowly, "I don't think there are 48 human ships." "What do you mean?" "I think there might be one ship that can appear to be in 48 different places at once. Or maybe there are 1,000 ships that only show themselves when they want to. I honestly don't know anymore." As if to prove his point, the sensor displays began showing different numbers of human vessels every few seconds. Sometimes there were 12 ships, sometimes 50, sometimes over 100. The numbers kept changing in ways that made no logical sense. Admiral Morden's communications officer looked up from his station with confusion. "Sir, I'm receiving messages from Fleet Command, but they're coming through the human ships." "Explain." "The humans are apparently intercepting our communications and relaying them to us. They're also adding their own comments to the messages." A text message appeared on the main screen. From Fleet Command to Admiral Morden. Message: status report required immediately. Human addendum. "Admiral, your fleet command is located at coordinates 147.3 by 298.7 by 88.1, approximately 847 light-years from your current position. They have 6 heavy battle groups in reserve, currently positioned near your primary shipyards. Just thought you might want to know." Admiral Morden stared at the message in horror. The humans knew exactly where Fleet Command was located. They knew about the reserve forces. They seemed to know everything about Corvani military operations. "Captain Chen," he said into his communicator, "what assurance do I have that you won't use this information against us?" "Admiral, if we wanted to harm your people, we would have done it already. We could have destroyed your entire fleet before you even knew we were here. We could have eliminated your command structure, disabled your planetary defenses, or taken control of your computer networks. But we haven't done any of that. Why not? Because we don't want to conquer you. We don't want your territory or your resources. We just want our people back. Return them safely, and this entire incident never happened." The admiral looked around his command center. His crew was watching him with expressions of fear and confusion. These were experienced military officers who had fought in dozens of battles, but they had never faced anything like this. And if we refuse? There was a long pause before Captain Chen answered. Admiral, do you know why humans have a reputation for being dangerous when our people are threatened? Tell me. It's because we never give up. Ever. We will chase you across the galaxy if necessary. We will find you no matter where you hide, and we will keep coming until our people are safe. The transmission ended, leaving both battle group commanders sitting in silence, trying to understand what they were really facing. Outside their ships, the human vessels continued their impossible movements through space, waiting patiently for the Corvani Empire to make its choice. High Admiral Kexran sat in the emergency council chamber on the Corvani homeworld, reading reports that made no sense. His military advisors filled the room, their faces showing the same confusion and growing fear that he felt. Explain to me again how a single human ship disabled the 7th Battle Group, he said to General Vorak, his chief of intelligence. High Admiral, we're not entirely sure it was a single ship. Our field commanders report anywhere from 1 to over 200 human vessels depending on when the scans were taken. That's impossible. Yes, sir. That's what makes this situation so difficult to understand. High Admiral Kexran looked at the tactical display showing the current situation. His forces were completely helpless. Their weapons didn't work. Their communications were being monitored. Human soldiers were walking freely through their ships, examining everything and taking detailed records. What about reinforcements? Can we send more ships? Sir, that's another problem, said Admiral Telvin, his fleet operations commander. We've lost contact with battle groups 3, 5, and 9. Lost contact how? They've gone completely silent, sir. Their last transmissions were routine patrol reports. Then nothing. General Vorak consulted his data pad. Sir, all 3 battle groups were positioned along possible routes that human ships might use to approach our territory. If the humans have additional forces, you think they've been eliminated? We don't know, sir. There's been no wreckage found, no distress signals, no evidence of battle. They've just vanished. High Admiral Kexran stood up and walked to the large window overlooking the capital city. Millions of Corvani citizens were going about their daily lives, completely unaware that their mighty empire was being challenged by creatures they considered primitive. What do our intelligence files really say about human capabilities? He asked quietly. There was uncomfortable silence in the room. Sir, General Vorak said carefully, the complete files are classified above my clearance level, but I've been able to access some additional information. It appears that humans have been involved in several major incidents over the past few decades, incidents that were covered up or explained away, such as the Kethran Empire, sir. They didn't collapse due to internal conflict as the official records state. They were systematically dismantled after they attacked a human colony ship. Every military base, every government facility, every major installation was destroyed in a single night. The High Admiral turned around. That's not possible. The Kethran had millions of soldiers and thousands of warships. Yes, sir. They also had advanced defensive systems, underground bunkers, and hidden bases scattered across 12 star systems. All of it was eliminated simultaneously. The only thing left behind was a message. We do not seek conquest, but we will not tolerate aggression against our people. Why wasn't this information shared with field commanders? High Command decided it would be bad for morale, sir. The official policy was that humans posed no significant military threat. Another advisor, Colonel Yextar, spoke up nervously. Sir, there's something else. I've been analyzing the patterns of human ship movements around Border Station Keth 9. The precision is unlike anything I've ever seen. Every vessel is positioned exactly where it needs to be for maximum tactical advantage. This isn't luck or improvisation. This is the result of planning and intelligence gathering that must have taken months. What are you suggesting? I think the humans have been watching us for much longer than we realized. They knew we had their diplomatic team. They knew our defensive positions. They knew when and where our reinforcements would arrive. This rescue Operation was planned from the moment their people were captured. High Admiral Kexron felt a chill run through his body. Are you saying they allowed their diplomats to be captured? It's possible, sir. Or they simply planned for the possibility and had a response ready. An emergency communication signal interrupted the meeting. The main display activated, showing Admiral Zektar's strained face from Border Station Keth 9. Hi, Admiral. I apologize for interrupting, but the situation has escalated. Report. Sir, the humans have begun what they call Phase 2 of their operations. They're systematically shutting down military installations throughout our territory. What do you mean, shutting down? They're not destroying anything, sir. They're simply making our bases non-functional. Defense platforms are going offline. Communication arrays are shutting down. Supply depots are sealing themselves. Our entire military infrastructure is being quietly disabled. The tactical display changed to show a map of Corvani space. Red warning symbols appeared across the territory, marking facilities that were no longer operational. How is this possible? High Admiral Kexron demanded. Admiral Zektar's voice carried a note of defeat. Sir, the humans appear to have complete control over our computer networks. They can access any system they choose and shut it down at will. Our cybersecurity measures are completely useless against whatever technology they're using. Are they harming personnel? No, sir. No one has been injured. They're simply making it clear that they can cripple our entire military infrastructure whenever they choose to do so. Colonel Yextar pointed to the display. High Admiral, look at the pattern of shutdowns. They're not random. The humans are systematically removing our ability to project force beyond our home system. They're cutting off our escape routes and isolating our main fleet. It's like they're hurting us, General Vorak added quietly. The communication from Admiral Zektar continued. Sir, Captain Chen has requested another conversation with High Command. She says the deadline remains unchanged, but she wanted to clarify what will happen if we don't comply. Put her through. The display flickered and changed to show Captain Chen sitting calmly in her command chair. Behind her, human crew members worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. High Admiral Kexron, I presume. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me. Captain Chen, your actions constitute an act of war against the Corvani Empire. High Admiral, we're not at war. If we were at war, this conversation wouldn't be happening. Your fleets would already be scrap metal floating in space. You're threatening our entire civilization. No, sir. We're demonstrating that your civilization is not as secure as you believed. We've shut down your military systems, but your civilian infrastructure remains completely untouched. Your people are safe, your economy is functioning normally, and your government continues to operate. High Admiral Kexron looked around the council chamber. Every advisor was watching him intently, waiting to see how he would respond. What exactly do you want? He asked. I want our 6 diplomats returned safely. That's all I've ever wanted. Return them and we'll restore all your systems and leave your territory immediately. And if we refuse? Captain Chen's expression didn't change, but somehow her presence seemed to become more intimidating. High Admiral, are you familiar with human history? Specifically, our approach to warfare? Enlighten me. Humans have a saying, peace through superior firepower. We prefer diplomacy and negotiation. But when our people are threatened, we become very focused on solutions. We don't stop until the problem is resolved. You're saying you'll destroy us if we don't comply. I'm saying we'll do whatever is necessary to bring our people home. Right now, that means demonstrating that resistance is futile. If you force us to escalate further. She paused as if considering her words carefully. Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. The transmission ended. High Admiral Kexron sat down heavily in his chair. Around him, his advisors whispered urgently among themselves, but he could see the truth in their eyes. The Corvani Empire, with all its power and technology, was completely helpless against these humans. Sir, General Vorak said quietly. What are your orders? The High Admiral stared at the tactical display showing his crippled military forces. 24 hours ago, he had commanded one of the most powerful militaries in the galaxy. Now he was discovering that power was an illusion when facing an enemy who could control your technology better than you could. "How much time do we have left?" he asked. 18 hours, sir. 18 hours to decide the fate of the Corvani Empire. Outside the window, the capital city continued its normal routine, unaware that their government was being forced to choose between pride and survival. High Admiral Kexron stood alone in his private office, staring at the communication device that would determine the future of the Corvani Empire. In 30 minutes, Captain Chen's deadline would expire. The weight of 5 billion Corvani lives rested on his decision. The door chimed softly. General Vorak entered, carrying a datapad and wearing an expression of grim resignation. "Sir, I have the final intelligence report you requested. Tell me, we've confirmed the fate of battle groups 3, 5, and 9. They're alive, sir, but they're no longer under our command." High Admiral Kexron looked up sharply. "Explain." "The humans didn't destroy them. Instead, they've been contained. All 3 battle groups are sitting in empty space, completely functional but unable to move or communicate. Their weapons are offline, their engines don't respond, and they can't even send distress signals. For how long? Since the moment they entered areas where they might threaten human operations. Sir, the humans neutralized over 90 of our best warships without firing a single shot." The High Admiral walked to his window and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, his proudest fleets were sitting helplessly in the dark, waiting for an enemy that had already won. "What about our defensive installations?" "Offline, sir. All of them. Every orbital platform, every planetary shield generator, every missile battery. The humans have complete control over our military infrastructure. And our civilian systems? Completely untouched. Transportation networks, communication systems, power grids, medical facilities, everything is working normally. The humans have been very careful to only target military assets." High Admiral Kexron understood the message. The humans could have crippled their entire civilization, leaving billions of people without power or communications. Instead, they had surgically removed only the Empire's ability to fight back. "Sir," General Vorak continued quietly, "there's something else. We intercepted a transmission from the human ship to their government. They're not operating alone." "What do you mean?" "Captain Chen was reporting to a Human Defense Council. Apparently there are similar task forces positioned near every major power in this part of the galaxy. The humans have been preparing for this type of situation for years." The implications hit him like a physical blow. "You're saying this isn't an isolated incident?" "No, sir. This is a coordinated demonstration. The humans are showing everyone what happens when their people are threatened. Every government that's been watching this situation now knows exactly what human capabilities really are." "A communication." Alert chimed urgently. Admiral Zektar's voice came through the speakers, tense with barely controlled panic. "High Admiral, we have 5 minutes until the deadline expires. Captain Chen is requesting your final decision." Kexron activated the communication link. "Put her through." Captain Chen appeared on his screen, looking exactly as calm and composed as she had in every previous conversation. Behind her, the human crew worked with quiet efficiency, as if the fate of 2 civilizations wasn't hanging in the balance. "Hi, Admiral, I hope you've had time to consider our discussion. Captain, I want to understand something. If we release your people, what guarantee do we have that you won't use what you've learned about our systems against us in the future?" "High Admiral, let me be very clear. We don't want to conquer the Corvani Empire. We don't want your territory, your resources, or your technology. We want our people back, and we want to go home. But you've demonstrated that you can destroy us whenever you choose." Captain Chen nodded slowly. "Yes, we have. And that demonstration will be remembered by every government in this sector. Which means that in the future, when human diplomats request safe passage through your territory, or when our merchants want to trade with your people, that request will be treated with appropriate respect. You're using fear to protect your interests." "High Admiral, we're using strength to protect our people. There's a difference." Kexron looked at the countdown timer on his display. 3 minutes and 37 seconds remained. "If we comply, what happens to our military forces?" All systems will be restored immediately. Your ships will regain full functionality. Your bases will come back online. Your communication networks will return to normal operation. It will be as if none of this ever happened. And if we don't comply? For the first time, Captain Chen's calm expression showed a hint of something harder underneath. Hi, Admiral, we've spent the last 70 hours being polite. We've demonstrated our capabilities without causing any permanent damage. But our people are still prisoners, and our patience has limits. What are you saying? I'm saying that, if you force us to take more direct action, the results will be much less pleasant for everyone involved. The timer showed 2 minutes and 15 seconds. General Vorak leaned over and whispered urgently in the High Admiral's ear. Sir, we have no choice. We can't fight them, we can't hide from them, and we can't negotiate from a position of strength. Hi. Admiral Kexron closed his eyes and made the decision that would define his legacy. Captain Chen, the Corvani Empire agrees to your terms. We will release your diplomatic team immediately. Thank you, High Admiral. That was the wise choice. Within moments, reports began flooding in from across Corvani territory. Military systems were coming back online. Ships regained control of their engines and weapons. Communication networks started functioning normally again. On border station Keth 9, Admiral Zektar personally escorted the 6 human diplomats to their release point. They looked tired but unharmed, and they thanked their captors politely for treating them well during their imprisonment. As the human diplomats were transferred to a small shuttle, Captain Chen's voice came over the station's communication system. One final time. Admiral Zektar, Admiral Morden, thank you for your cooperation. Your professionalism during this difficult situation has been noted and appreciated. The human fleet began to withdraw, their ships disappearing one by one in the same impossible way they had appeared. Within minutes, the sensors showed empty space around the border station. But before the last ship vanished, Captain Chen sent one final message to High Admiral Kexron. High Admiral, I want you to understand something important. What you witnessed was not an invasion. It was a rescue operation. We came here for our people, and now we're taking them home. I understand, Captain. I hope you do, sir, because the galaxy is a big place and there are many species who might be watching what happened here. Some of them might be wondering what would happen if they tested human resolve, and what would happen. The same thing that happened here, High Admiral. We don't seek conflict, but we never abandon our own. The transmission ended, leaving the Corvani leadership in stunned silence. Hours later, as reports continued to arrive, confirming that all human ships had left Corvani space, High Admiral Kexron sat in his office writing his official report of the incident. How do you explain to your government that you surrendered without a fight to an enemy that never fired a shot? How do you describe technology so advanced that it made your best equipment look like children's toys? How do you admit that everything you thought you knew about humans was completely wrong? He settled on a simple summary. The humans retrieved their personnel and departed without causing permanent damage to Corvani forces or infrastructure. Recommend immediate revision of all intelligence assessments regarding human military capabilities. But, privately, he knew the real lesson was much simpler. Throughout the galaxy, there were thousands of species with different technologies, cultures, and military philosophies. Most of them could be negotiated with, fought, or avoided. But humans were different. Humans didn't just fight for territory or resources. They fought for each other, and they never ever gave up. 3 days later, every major government in the sector received the same message, transmitted simultaneously on all communication frequencies. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Defiance, speaking for the Human Defense Council. Recent events have demonstrated our capabilities when human civilians are threatened. We want to make our position clear to all listening governments. We seek peaceful relations with all species. We offer trade, cooperation, and friendship to any who want it. But we will not tolerate harm to human citizens under any circumstances. Choose your actions wisely. The message was brief, polite, and terrifying in its implications. And across the galaxy, military commanders began updating their standing orders regarding human vessels. Treat with extreme caution, do not engage, do not threaten, Do not interfere, because everyone now understood the unspoken rule that governed human behavior. Touch one of ours and all of us will come for you.